Not only are the main Vancouver Canucks players going out there and putting in work. We had already talked about this yesterday, but the team, apparently, according to all the stats, they seem to be pretty legit. But it's not even just them. What if I told you that the prospects in the Vancouver Canucks system are also putting in work, they're also getting better, they're also dominating their respective leagues? The Vancouver Canucks do not have a prospect pool that I think most people and prospect analysts in the NHL community would say is near the top. The Canucks used to have a top prospect pool when they had guys like Pettersson and Hughes and all these other guys in the pipeline. But they're not really in the pipeline anymore, they're main players. So the Vancouver Canucks pool has definitely taken a big step down in terms of its rankings in the NHL communities over the past few years. But hey, 2023-2024 brings new opportunities for other guys to step up and showcase better value. And that's exactly what these three guys have done right here. Let's talk today about the top point scorer in the AHL, the top point scorer in the OHL, and the top goal scorer in the SHL, all via Chris Faber on Twitter. Now, as I had said in the prior video, Faber is now a writer for the Canucks. He got hired after doing tremendous work on the Canucks Conversation podcast and Canucks Army. I met the guy in real life at BCIT. We had discussed trade secrets, and also I was on his podcast a few times. So, very great friend of mine, Chris Faber, working for the Canucks now for a very good reason. He is a beast of a writer and an even better person. He tweeted this out earlier this morning, talking about how the OHL points leader, AHL points leader, and SHL goals leader all belong to the Vancouver Canucks. Take a look at the OHL. Right now, at the time of recording this audio, or at least in the picture that is provided in the tweet, Canucks prospect Hunter Brzustewicz is still first in the entire OHL in points, with 25 in 13 games played. The interesting thing about this graphic is that Brzustewicz is the only defenseman on the list. Carlsson is second with 23 points, Matthew Sopp with 22, Misaljevic has 20, Misa has 20. There are a bunch of other guys who don't have nearly the same amount of points as Hunter Brzustewicz does, but he is on the blue line. This guy has more assists than most of the OHL players have points in general. He's been great in the OHL, and we've talked about this multiple times throughout the year. In fact, if you go over to his last 5-game sample and his last 10-game sample, in his last 5 games he's got 9 points, so that's almost 2 points a game. In his last 10 games, he's got 20 points, so literally 2 points a game. This guy started out his season with 5 points in 3 games played and said, hey, I can do better than that. And that's exactly what he did. If you're seeing the clips circulate on social media, you're seeing Hunter Brzustewicz going out there and making great passes. He's facilitating the play properly. He's making the right play. Let's say 90% of the time, he does not really make mistakes, especially in the offensive zone. He is just such a strong hockey mind that knows how to get the game moving in the right direction, and both him and his teammates are getting rewarded in spades because of it. Brzustewicz is literally the top point scorer in the OHL as an 18-year-old defenseman, and that is something I don't think you really could have expected. Now, moving on to the next point leader in his league for the Vancouver Canucks, it is the AHL points leader, Arshdeep Bains. Surrey guy, playing for Abbotsford. In fact, there are 2 Canucks at the top of the AHL's point production list. Arshdeep Bains is tied with Christian Willander for that number 1 spot. They overtook Josh Waugh the other night. Sure, they've done their points in 1 more game played than both Waugh and Daniil have. They have 12 points and 7. Willander and Bains have 13 and 8. But still, take a look at the numbers, take a look at the production, and try to ignore just how good they have been. We'll skip over Willander for now because we're kind of used to that guy going out there and producing a bunch of points. He did the same thing last year, was the best AHL defender in that respect. But Arshdeep Bains, playing in what is essentially his 2nd pro season on a 117-point pace, has been so good with Abbotsford this year that, again, if you just take a look at some of the clips that are coming out here, the way this guy is able to playmake is crazy good. He's making behind-the-net backhand no-look passes to teammates. He is just playing the game the right way. Again, like Hunter Brzustewicz, this is a pattern that we noticed a lot with Arshdeep Bains, especially during the preseason. Like, obviously, when the Canucks were playing preseason hockey, Arshdeep Bains wasn't the most amazing, top-of-the-line, number one point scorer type of guy, but he was making good plays. He wasn't really making mistakes. He just showed off how polished he was, mentally speaking. He just understood the game on a fundamental level and was able to look okay in the preseason. Honestly, it was to a point where if you had told me that Arshdeep Bains made the Vancouver Canucks for 23-24 based off of the preseason games alone, I would have been like, okay, well, I get why they're doing it. Like, he's definitely competent enough to play. But of course, sending him down to the AHL, getting a second pro stint under his belt, getting a little bit faster, getting his conditioning up there, and just allowing himself the space to be a top guy in the second-tier pro league. He's been great. And this is the sort of experience that will mold players like Arshdeep Bains into becoming better prospects. Now, he is 22 years old, so there's still so much time for him to become better and eventually make the NHL do his thing even more and round out his physicality. But for now, Arshdeep Bains is tied for first in the AHL in points with the guy that was the number one defenseman in the entire league last year, who also happens to be a Canuck. With this in mind, though, let's take our sights overseas. Let's go over to the SHL and talk about the guy who is leading the entire league in goals, Jonathan Lekkerimaki. Yeah, that's right. Lekkerimaki is going out there once more with some banger goals. And I'll admit, we've been talking about him this entire season, going over his one-timers, his OV spots, slap shots, etc., but recently, Jonathan Lekkerimaki has found himself a dangler set of skills. He's been splitting the D, he's been getting by people, he's been sniping it on the rush. Lekkerimaki is not just a one-trick pony who can only score from the OV spot. This guy is a lethal goal-scoring machine anywhere he is on the ice. He's got 8 goals and 3 assists for 11 points in 14 total games. He leads the SHL in goals, tied for first with Marek Hrivik and Oscar Ekland, but still, 19 years old, he's going out here and dominating the SHL in goals. If you wanted to go over to Elias Pettersson and see what Pettersson did when he was in the SHL, when PD had that dominant, just golden helmet winning season, he had 44 games played and 24 goals. Right now, Lekkerimaki is on pace for 30 goals, and this is probably going to be the highlight of his career if he's able to get that done. Not to say that Lekkerimaki is going to be Pettersson or anything, but just the way this guy has been putting up numbers, putting up goals on the score sheet, you cannot get enough of this. And to have Lekkerimaki do this at the same time that Brzustewicz is dominating the OHL, at the same time that Bains is doing the AHL, this bodes very well for a Vancouver Canucks prospect pool that has been pretty bad the past few years. Now, this team and our fans, we have something to cheer about. Not just the on-ice product in Rogers Arena. Oh no, not just the Vancouver Canucks themselves going out there and winning games, but the prospects. My gosh, Abbotsford Center is popping off with fans, baby. I've been seeing the footage. I've been seeing my friends go out there to the Abbey games and watching guys like Arshdeep Bains do their thing. We've got the Swedish folks over there updating us about Lekkerimaki with Örebro because he has been dominant too. It's been probably the best year to be a Canucks fan since maybe 2018. There aren't any bad storylines here. Everything that could be going right is going right, and knock on gosh darn wood, it stays that way. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Canucks prospects going out there and dominating. Hunter Brzustewicz leads the OHL in points. Arshdeep Bains is tied for first with Christian Willander for the AHL's point-scoring lead. And you've got Lekkerimaki at the top of the SHL in goals. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.